Okay. Hello, everybody. Sorry we're a little bit late. Give me a sound check, go check. Yeah, Sakura. Can everyone see me and hear me and stuff? Oops. Uh, can everyone hear me and see me and stuff now? Oh, oh, been running a little behind schedule here. Close enough. Hello, hello. They're kind of fuzzing a week better. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to move the mic in place. Okay. So, reason we're late is when Eva goes to the hospital on Mondays, get radiation and infusion, they've got a lot of things they have to do. And as such, that can get kind of complicated. So by the time uh, we were done there and had to go by the drugstore and everything, we just got here a little late. So I figure we just start up a little bit late. Uh, in terms of Eva's condition, according to the doctor, her her condition is what he would expect at this time on the basically she's on schedule. It don't look pretty, okay? It doesn't feel good. But the doctor is satisfied that things are going like they're supposed to. And so um, that's it's a bit difficult. She's been really uncomfortable. It's been 4 days since the last time anyone was basically operating at the hospital because Christmas. So during that 4 days, her condition continued to get less and less pleasant. But she just said, well, we're going to see the doctor on Monday, so we'll just do that. So we went there today. He prescribed pain pills, a few other little things. Again, the doctor says he's seeing exactly what he would expect to see and things look good. From my standpoint, it's like, yeah, okay, you know, yeah. But it disconcerting. Okay. No, that was my shirt, my long sleeve shirt. um, it was sitting over here, which is going to get in the way in just a minute. So anyhow, that's the situation there. Needless to say, I didn't have a lot of time to prep for today. However, because I just got some lab results in, I thought it might be a good time to show how I do some of the calculations to figure out what the hell's going on here. Again, my main thing right now is to find out what the operating parameters are going to be at Nicaragua for the basically the below gold line cons second, the first retabling. So, thank you, James. So anyhow, I'm doing a number of tests, just a pile of them, because things never work out. simple. And the first thing that I'd like to bring up is these lab results is reported in parts per million. Now, a lot of you people are used to ounces per ton, but parts per million has some significant positives to it. Anyhow, this is not chemotherapy, it's immunotherapy, basically. They're infusing her with cetuximab or something, which basically is supposed to kind of key her immune system to whatever the the cancer cells are, so it'll tend to make it more aggressive at hunting them down and killing any that are left. So anyhow, let's start out with basic theory. Parts that, let me here. Oh, go over here. Parts per million equals gram per metric ton equals gram kilograms per kilogram or kilogram per liter. Okay, all of those units are exactly the same thing because there is 1,000,000 grams in a metric ton. A metric ton is 1,000 kilograms, or about 2,200 pounds. And yeah, I agree. It's AI, Jean-Francois. But anyhow, because all of these units are identical, okay, it's the exact same stuff, it allows us to do some interesting things. Now, I did some tests a while back where I ran some bottle rolls with different parameters at the same time, and then saw how much gold was in the various solutions. Even though I started with the same amount of material, the solids, I did not necessarily use the same amount of solution for various reasons. It's grams per metric ton. Okay. So one of them, it turned out that it was 0.2 liters at 81 parts per million. Another bottle in that series was 0.2 liters. Actually, these were all, no, the next one was 0.3 liters because I was changing the liquid to solids ratio. And that wound up at 59. Then I had 0.2 liters at 50. And the last one was 0.2 liters at 38. Okay. In this case, I increased liquid. In this case, I decreased Eco Goldex. In this case, I decreased Eco Goldex even further. all of these had the same liquids to solids ratio. You can sure see the increased Eco Goldex got me better recovery. Absolutely. Pretty close. It's not linear, but it's definitely proportional. This one here, even though that's 59 parts per million, when recovered out of solution, this one here, and this is where it comes in handy to use that parts per million, 0.2 liters times 81 parts per million. This is 162 milligrams. Whereas this one is 0.3 at 59. That gives 177 milligrams. So you can see by increasing the liquid, I increase the recovery significantly, not hugely. Okay? And this one down here, 0.2 times 50. This was a whole 10 milligram. 0.2 50. Let's see. 16.17.7. And this would be 10.0. 7.6. So you can see everything else was the same between this one, and this one, except the amount of Eco Goldex. And you can see we lost a lot. This one here is half the recovery. This is less than 2/3. So that is the ease of use of parts per million. Okay. Now, when I take these numbers, now I can tell how many milligrams there is in the, I'm going to get my glasses on here. Total 51.5. Assuming I haven't made a mistake. 51.5. So, with that, let's see, how much did I put in here? 0.6 grams of resin. That was H3. Yeah, that's H3. Okay, so I put in 6 grams of resin. Milligrams gold and 6 grams resin, which, if all the gold went into the resin, this also is 0.0515 grams. See how simple that is? With the decimal point again. Divided by 6 equals 8.5%. Okay. 8.5%? No. 0.85%. Okay. So this is just a little less than 1%, which is what I was shooting for. I was guessing on these numbers at the time I did this test. I didn't have them back yet. So I put in, this 1%. Then I rolled it for 24 hours. Okay. I took all of these samples, put them all in one bottle, threw in 6 grams of resin, and rolled it for 24 hours. Now, I just today got the results. And it was running, Baron was running 9.4. Okay, so that would be 9.4 milligrams out of 51.5, about 80%, real close to 80% recovery. 20% still left in solution. So I did not get a really good recovery with this loading factor and 24 hours. Okay. So I need to either use more resin and or longer time. Okay. So this is the kind of testing I'm doing to determine how much resin do I need? How long a time do I need? Those sort of things. See, I can now change this, go to say 10 grams of resin, see what happens. Or I could do a longer bottle roll. Right now, I just took some samples into the lab today where I did a 24-hour bottle roll and took sample out. And then I did another 24 hours and took a sample. Okay. My guess is the 48 hours is going to be pretty good, but I don't know yet. Now, the other thing I did was I took this resin here and I actually fire assayed it. And I did not part the bead. I was just using visual cues and an actual weight. And HEM3 was, bead was 0.71 grams. So 0.071 grams, 71 milligrams was silver in color. Therefore, it's going to be less than 50%, and that would be about 35 milligrams gold at the most. Then I can also do calculations with what I think was actually in the rock, do all this stuff, and figure out what's going on. Clearly, since I used exact same aliquots of the same material, I didn't get 100% recovery. You know, these numbers here, these two are probably close to the maximum amount in the rock. These didn't even come close. So, I say, in solution, I had 51.5 milligrams. In the bead, about 35 milligrams. And with the Baron at 3.9 liters, 0.9 liters times 9.4. That's another 8.5 milligrams. Put it all together, 45, 43.5 compared to 51.5. I've got some losses, okay? Which doesn't surprise me at all, especially here. This is where I really don't know what I'm good, because I'm not actually parting the bead. Plus my scale, you know, that 0.071 could be off a little bit without too much trouble. But it gives me an idea that, okay, I need to run the resin and pulp for longer. I need to do a larger liquid to solids ratio. and I need to keep at least this amount of Eco Goldex in solution. This was the same amount of Eco Goldex, 10 grams each. This is 10 grams, 5 grams, this is 3 grams. So these had the exact same amount of Eco Goldex, not concentration, amount. But by diluting it a little more, I seem to have gotten a little better recovery. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to do in terms of figuring out all these parameters. And so I'm looking at a 3-to-1 solid to liquids ratio and 1 gram of Eco Goldex per 10 grams of solid. That's going to be the starting parameter. Also, looking at the bottle rolls and previous stuff, it turned out that I got about 20% more if I ran it for an extra 24 hours. So we're probably going to be doing 48 hours of leaching and then throwing in the resin and running it for another probably 48 hours. Now, whether we're agitating the whole time or intermittent agitation, depends on attrition. Okay? So that's basically the kind of calculations I've been having to do to try and ascertain the numbers that I then wind up just telling you guys. You know, when I yep. So say this is the kind of stuff that I do all kinds of these variable parameters and then calculate results and give you guys the conclusions. Also, just to give you an idea, I have it with me here, but this is just the last dozen tests or so, and each one of those is like a day or 2 days or 3 days worth of actual time. So that's I will take all this kind of data, I will crunch the numbers. When I come to some fairly firm conclusions, especially things like what kind of solution to solids ratio should we have, how much the Eco Goldex to solids thing is, once I reach those conclusions, then I write those up, send them to the principals, and generally tell you guys kind of what the conclusions are. but this gives you an idea of the process that I have to go through to arrive at those conclusions. This right here, that's 24 hours of operating time on the bottle roll. And getting those all set up, about 30 minutes or so. I ran hydrogen peroxide digestion. This one is HEM3. HEM, by the way, stands for hydrogen peroxide pre-digestion, max water resin, and Eco Goldex dissolution. So hydrogen peroxide and Eco Goldex, and then max water resin. So let's see what I did. That's too late. There's ATM1. See, all right. Acid. ATM1 positive. Here's HEM3. Okay. All of the bottles started out with 100 grams of ground ore, or the sulfide concentrate. Then I used 50 cc's of hydrogen peroxide and 100 cc's of water and digested it for 1.5 hours. After that, then I changed 4 different bottles. After the first 1.5 hours, add another 50 cc's of hydrogen peroxide, roll 1.5 hours, so a total of 3 hours of pre-digestion, and 1 gram of lime should be in there. Yeah, there it is, 1 gram of lime after the first. And then add 10 grams of Eco Gold. That's just one of them. But I mean, this is the kind of notes. All of this refers to just one test right there. And then the next one. The nice thing about having a 3-ring binder is that you can kind of clean stuff up later. You know, you can rewrite stuff if it gets, things like these little notes in the margins. If it gets out of hand, you can go ahead, redo it on another sheet, and put it in there. Okay. Also, if you're doing different kinds of testing, in the long run, you could then take and put it in different sections of the 3-ring binder so that you can find different things like hydrogen peroxide pre-digestion. You can have that in one area. But that's the kind of stuff that you guys really don't get much to see, but which has to be done in order to have a good grasp of how you should even start the process. Okay? I mean, that's just before you even start doing any bulk processing. Each one of these samples is only 100 grams of concentrates. So I got 4 samples out of a pound. And that's how you can dial in. You can get a rough idea pretty quick and relatively cheaply. Okay? The most expensive part of all this is the solution assay at the end. So, I say, that gives you an idea of what I've been doing with the with me burning up the big, what I call the as-is sulfide sample. I completed it. All right, that's why this has 4, because that last one was the last 100 grams. So, theoretically, I should be in a couple of days receiving another package. This one, they have apparently found out how they can use FedEx to basically get me samples. Okay. Yeah, and another thing you can do with a 3-ring binder is if you have something, for example, this is the mesh to micron conversion thing. You can laminate it, punch it, and stick it in your binder. Or in another binder where you have a whole bunch of those sort of things, like a Fahrenheit to centigrade conversion chart, and all of that, sort of stuff can be in one binder. So anytime you got to figure out something to that effect, it's like, the size of beads versus the weight of the beads, you can grab that one binder, and it's pretty easy to get to. When you have something permanent like that, like a formula and a methodology like, say, the stripping solution and everything, once you got it all figured out, put it on one sheet of paper, laminate it, put it in 3-ring binder. Okay, that way it never gets messed up. That makes it a lot easier in the long run. And you can always Xerox the laminated stuff if you need to make copies of it. But they're getting me new samples, so I can start dialing this in and also comparing it, because all of this stuff you've seen over the last several months is on one sample. Now, mind you, it is a composite sample effectively. Okay, but it's nevertheless. Good night, Gene. Um, but it's nevertheless one sample, and it doesn't tell you a whole lot. The second set of samples they didn't do a below gold line cons on the retabling. They just got me some rough cons, below gold line cons on the first tabling, and it was less concentrated than some of my barren solutions, which makes it very, very difficult to do some of the tests I'm doing right now, which is reusing solution. How well can I use reuse solution and how effective is it? Hey, Sarah, how's it going? So hopefully in the next few days I'll get some new samples and then I can start kicking ass on them. I forget who it was who told me last week that they had 12.5% hydrogen peroxide at Home Depot. And in fact, they were supposed to stock it, but they were out this week. It's supposed to show up today, I believe. So I need to go get some tomorrow. It's relatively inexpensive. It's like $22 for a 1-gallon jug. Not bad. But that's the kind of testing I'm going to have to start doing now, is to simulate on a smaller scale what we would like to do in reality, which is the hydrogen peroxide treatment, then reusing old solution to, just kind of replenishing the Eco Goldex and using that, seeing how long it takes for the resin and pulp and that kind of stuff. Wow, very good, Sarah. A 5-gram nugget. I've never found anything that big. Excellent. But anyhow, uh, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Put the piece of copper in the solution, wait and see how much deposits on the solution test. I'm calibrating that right now to see basically what kind of parameters I can ascertain relatively reliably and simply. And it appears to be relatively good. As a matter of fact, did A and B. Okay, so both of those were running about 10 parts per million. Okay. So, and a great deal of difference between them. But back here, bottle roll copper wire. Okay, the first testing I did, it was getting a little funky, somewhere between 9 and 3 parts per million, but not bad. Still functional. Oh, let me write down here. Hello. Nice. Okay, and Yeah, 20 minutes. We were starting to show stuff. Both of these should be in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 parts. I actually have samples on out. That's 8 to 10 parts per million. That's gonna. When I started test, it was running about a 1 hour dip. Gave good result, and after 48 hours of bottle roll, it takes about 3 hours. They also seem to be more different at the start than at the end, which I'm tentatively interpreting is get right with you, incognito. That the resin, when it will take it down to a certain level, and then it really slows down. So that's kind of what I'm guessing at this point. Again, the samples have been sent off for assay now, and we'll get a much better idea once I get those samples back. But that is another thing that I'm working on, is to try and figure out a reliable method of testing the gold in solution. And I think that the copper cementation test will work very well to get a rough idea how much gold is in solution. I know it works on the tripping circuit. It seems to be working fine on Eco Goldex solutions. It's not as sensitive as the spot test, but it doesn't seem to have as much interference with this particular ore. But I think it's something that you guys will be able to use in the future, as long as you're looking for, a detection limit above like 3 parts per million. I think that's quite doable. We'll see. We're going to get a lot more experience, but the idea is, if we can tell that that solution's down to 3 parts per million and we're going to reuse it anyway, let's suppose we had a 50 kilo batch, which is what the tentative plan is, times the wetting amount. Now, the amount to wet that amount of material fairly well is going to be about 12.5 kilos or 12.5 liters times 0.03, 0.375 grams, 370, a third of a gram. See if I got that right. 50 divided by 4, 12 and a half times 0.003, 0.04 grams. So the amount of residual gold left just wetting the pulp in a batch is only going to be, assuming we get it down to where we're like, okay, that detection limit says we've pretty much got it. We're looking at only 0.04 grams. That's fine. Now, hello, Red Wing. Will zinc work? Probably will. Okay. The problem is it is awfully hard to find fabricated zinc around here. Now, you could theoretically use galvanized wire for a short period of time until the zinc dissolves. And I don't know how long that is. The nice thing about galvanized or a zinc wire, I mean, you might be able to buy zinc wire. Anyone want to do a quick Google or Amazon and see if you can find zinc wire? Just out of curiosity, because that's one thing I was looking at. I know at uh, Hobby Lobby they used to have uh, not zinc, tin sheet that you could cut into strips. But I'll have to find out the uh, has to do with electronegativity and stuff like that. Maybe somebody knows. Um, Perhaps you could use aluminum wire and just clean it before use. Okay. And so zinc wire or a smooth galvanized wire would probably work just fine. The copper wire at this point, to clean the gold off, just take a chore boy, scrub it, good as new, ready to go. So that's something that it is easy to find copper wire virtually anywhere on the planet. Therefore, I thought, okay, let's see if it works. And it seems to. So we might also, I'll try and research, is there a particular metal which will precipitate the gold but not silver out of solution? And that's another question I have. I know chunks of zinc, but I'd like either rods, wires, or sheet so that you can make something you can dip in there, let it hang for a significant period of time to pull it out. So that's it. The copper wire seems to work, and um, at least we have something that's workable. That's the key. As long as you have some method that will do the job, you can de-stress. You can say, okay, we can do it that way. What of the? It's not very ductile then, huh? Um, but one of the things we need to make life simple is a simple field test to say, okay, the resin has got all the gold we needed to get out of that solution. You can't tell by looking, you know. Yeah, you may be absolutely right, honey bunny. And so, so it seems to be a workable system, and I'll have more information as time goes on. But the idea is to be able to get a good idea of how much gold is in the Eco Goldex solution. Um, Both initially, it's like, yeah, this batch of cons is really kicking ass here. We got a lot in solution, so we're going to need to add more resin. It looks like around 1%, that resin is either topping out or slowing way down in its recovery. And if it's just um, a fairly linear thing and we're just running out of time, we can just add a little more time. Hey, Lars, how's it going? If, on the other hand, it's more of an equilibrium reaction, as the more gold gets in the resin, the less gold can get out of the solution, then we may do something with, well, first we'll use resin we've already used once, and then we'll uh, put fresh resin in the slurry and kind of scavenge it. Another possibility is depending on how long it takes to settle. Now, this stuff here that I've been doing is settling pretty good. Okay. However, we're going to take the cons, put them in a ball mill. I've got a little ball mill that'll work just fine for this. Oh dear, Lars, that's not desirable. Anyhow, you put it in the ball mill, put the hydrogen peroxide in there, and run it for like a couple hours, and it's going to beat the bejesus out of it. Okay, so we don't know how things are going to work. Lars is stranded due to washouts, little one. I guess he was up at the mine when the rain hit this week. So if that material, once we've done our magic with it, will settle well, then what you could do after the cement mixer, dump it into some buckets. Okay. And probably four buckets, let it settle. Then you could pour off the solution pretty clean. You could run that through columns. Okay, you have zero attrition that way. It's actually more effective because as the solution goes through a column, okay, here's your resin. The most concentrated solution is contacting the highest loaded resin. And as it goes down through here, this higher loading can just keep loading up. And until you get down to the bottom of this column where it's no longer recovering very much, and then you just switch them out to multiple columns. Piece of cake, we've been doing that in the past. And then use that to recover the vast majority of the gold out of this solution. Then you could dump the same solution right back in there, put it in the cement mixer with resin and pulp, and kind of scavenge it. But as I say, so there's, again, we'll have to crunch the numbers and see which makes the most sense. So sweet, incognito. Zinc strips, 55 feet long, 2.5 millimeters, and 0.1 thick. Is that feet wide or millimeters wide? That's, for that price, I would think it would be like millimeters wide. So, as I said, the nice thing about zinc is the gold will show up much clearer against the white zinc than the, red, yellow copper. Inch wide. That could work out a lot of different ways. So let's say I will check it out. Again, I got something that works, but I really would like to try it on a white metal because I think it'll be easier to see and therefore a lower detection limit. we shall see what we shall see. Again, I'm not stressing because I got something that'll work, but I really want to try it too. And this is the kind of stuff I do when I've run out of samples. Yep. Okay, incognito. Yeah, I say it's the sort of thing I haven't even had time to look. Um, right now, I'm spending a lot of focus on Eva and doctors and stuff like that. And so I've just been, doing what I've got on hand to do and think about other stuff and then I can stuff. But that's why I was asking about the zinc. I appreciate that. And I say I'll see what I can get in terms of zinc later. Um, she is not feeling good, Sarah. However, the doctor says she's doing exactly how she should be doing at this point. Mentally, she's still tough. The doctor said, "Remember, you can tap out at any time." She says, "Screw that crap. I'm in it to win it." That's what she said today, basically. That's not the exact word she used, but that was the message. Hey, Rock, and I appreciate it, David. Say the treatment seems to be going as expected. It's a little disconcerting to me, and it's pretty unpleasant for Eva. But the doctor says, "Yep, that's exactly what we should be seeing right now." So, um, from that standpoint, it's going just fine. From a subjective standpoint, not so much. Okay. But I don't know about Eva's um, standpoint. With me, the question is, when is it going to bottom out and where is it going to bottom out? But with the doctor, because it was over the last 4 days of the Christmas thing that the situation went from, yeah, a little something to, yeah, this is now getting kind of serious. And with all the doctors on vacation, I didn't have we didn't have an opportunity to get some feedback, but we got that today. The doctors are pretty happy with what she's doing. Hello, unhinged Harry. Um, so that's that's her situation. Unpleasant. She should be getting better around the end of January, 1st of February. Okay. By the time our birthdays roll around, she should be improving. Until then, it's going to get worse. Okay. So that's that's what's up with Eva. And again, she's hanging real tough. Um, don't have anything else in specific that I can think of today. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Um, so Sarah had a pretty good week apparently. Sarah got a 5 gram nugget, little one. So she goes, mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking isn't easy for her right now. And that's basically where we're at. And Uh, hey, we'll get through. We'll make it work. But right now, it's just day by day and do what needs to be done. Uh, go from there. On a 1 pound seam of crystal. Whoa! A 1 pound seam? Crystal opal is nice. Um, Eva's blood tests are perfect right now. Her blood cell counts, her electrolytes, everything is right where it's supposed to be. She's doing a fantastic job. Yeah, I've only found one little nugget my whole life. I was with Chris Georgie on his claims, and I found a little, little picker. But it was so cool. I can't imagine what a 5 grammer would be like. Yeah, that is so cool. That Yeah, opal is gorgeous. So I say that's what's going on, and I say I don't know. It has more samples. Boys down there should be getting the equipment in and set up in the not too distant future. Hi, Patrick. Been a while. Patrick Jobling says, "Hang in there, Eva. A couple bars of Giggle Bells and a big tub of triple chocolate ice cream." She goes, "Hmm." So, I say that's uh, it'll be interesting when they get that running. They're also hoping to get um, a higher grade ore uh, heading to the mill here shortly. They're Again, they were kind of rushed putting this whole thing together, and so they went and accessed a particular part of the mineralized zone that was relatively easy to get to, but there was another part of the mineralized zone which is not as easy to get to, not horribly, but not that good, and it was not accessible during the rainy season, and they're now opening that up. And he he was telling me that they should be mining that like right after New Year's, and hopefully that will dramatically increase the head grade going into the mill, which is always a good thing. That would be amazing, incognito. Uh, so I say that's about it. We're making progress, and Eva's getting through again. Hopefully, one more month, and then she'll be getting better. But it's going to be around then before she's hit bottom and getting coming back up. So we'll just get it through day by day. Uh, According to Incognito, if I read it correctly, He's got a friend who hit like 35-pound mammoth hip that was opalized. He was going, about all she can do right now. Uh, says it's amazing. He's going to buy it from him for 80,000. Could you post some pictures, please? 40 degrees in the shade, huh? Wow. That would be weird to have Christmas in summer. Yep. Uh, by the way, found in St. Helens, Oregon, huh? Interesting. Um, that brings up the silver price, and um, I think I mean, it's been going up pretty nice. It kind of had a pullback today, but then there was a lot of effort put forth by people with lots of money to make it pull back today. And so we will see how it goes. Uh, and we will see just how far it goes, how fast. And I'm kind of curious on that. Are you able to do any work in the field this time of year, Rock? I think you're pretty much limited to ice fishing, huh? I think it's going to keep going up, Harry. I just don't know how fast and how far. That's something. Okay. It has brought me a thing. She says when it comes to gold and silver, back up the truck and borrow a second truck and rent a U-Haul. Okay. Drilling all winter, huh? Well, they must have something interesting. Yeah, they're trying to. First of all, they're targeting another section of the um, mineralized zone, basically the other side of the pit that had really good grade in the past. They're trying to open that up, and they should be digging by after New Year, right after New Year's, to increase grade to the mill. And there's still David Villa says, "Bless you, Eva." Um, and they should be getting the uh, all the equipment and stuff set up in the next couple of weeks to actually start processing the sulfide cons. They've been awfully busy, Rock. But thanks for reminding me. Uh, let's see. Okay, I got a note here. See what I can do. Eva, did you get that package that was out on the porch? Just a second, I gotta check. Anyhow, so well, blue agate ain't crap. That's some nice stuff. Let's see. Oh, so anyhow, thanks for reminding me, Rock. I'll see about getting them on that again. And but yeah, they're working on that, and then again, just they've always got busy stuff. Plus, when you're dealing with multiple people in sequence, message can get a little confused at times. We really need to get them sluicing the tailings to see what happens too. Uh, yeah, I heard today that the United States government is looking to get some samarium from an old processing facility in France or something. It's just kind of sitting around. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how long it's going to take to get new processing facilities up for rare earths, but the mining part shouldn't take too long. But we shall see what we shall see. You got mining, then you've got concentrating, then you got refining. And I'm not sure how hard the concentrating and refining is. Unfamiliar with it. That is really not good, Incognito. Um, are they getting it under control? We all hope. Do you have diabetes? Well, at least you're on the mend, it looks like. But yeah, that that's no good. No fun at all. So hypoglycemia? Hmm, okay. I I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to another big hoorah that kind of resolves itself pretty quick. I don't think the rare earths are that rare. It's just the processing. I mean, the Chinese, whether you like them or not, they're not stupid. And so they decided to go ahead and, subsidize them and make it unprofitable for anyone else to process them. So they wound up with the monopoly. Wow, you know that's pretty basic economics. And yeah, to some extent, you're right. The maggots are good at cleaning out stuff. Yeah, that's what it was. Controlled earth materials. Because they say China used subsidies to keep the prices so low that they were selling them at prices that nobody else could make money at. So everyone else just let the Chinese do it, and now the Chinese can tell the United States to take a hike if they want, and it's not easy to ignore them. You know, so they weren't stupid. We were, they weren't. You got to have people that are first of all aware, and secondly of all willing to take the long term. Okay, Incognito. Well, they're not refined to the point you can put them in magnets, I'll bet you. Eva's been to the other side also, incognito. Yeah. At least you're comfortable with the alternatives now. Of course they're unscrupulous. Communists are always unscrupulous. That's why they kill millions of people. Anytime they take control, they kill millions of people. They don't have any morals. I think they see it as a weakness. Strange things happen incognito. I firmly believe that God is inordinately fond of the multi-cushion bank shot. Opening a gold mine in China? Don't. You know? Uh, uh, will there be sandwiches? Um, no. Okay, apparently airmail has just arrived. Let us see what the message says. Again, she's having difficulty speaking. This is a personal message. Okay, little one. Uh, yep, pretty much airmail, exactly. As you can see, she's not incapacitated. Okay, but you know, it's not going to be fun for the next month, guaranteed. Mail from the boss. Anyhow, so that's where we are. I hope everyone had a good Christmas, and hopefully it'll be a great New Year. Possibly fly, honey bunny. It was pretty much just procedural stuff there. But anyhow, does anyone have any questions or anything at this point? Any any subjects to bring up? That's not bad, Harry. Thank you, David. I appreciate that very much. It seems to be working, but it's one of those things that it can't be done easily. There you go, honey bunny. Got to have a goal. You know, first you have a plan, then execute. And remember, and you're well equipped on this one, every good plan needs a scapegoat. So you got a whole herd of them. I put, just wait a second and let's see what happens, but get ready, honey. Oh, definitely incognito. We really want to see that. Um, so everything except for Eva's health seems to be going okay right now, and we're getting more and more stuff figured out. Yeah, that would not be good, incognito. Not at all. Um, Alrighty, well, I don't see anything new coming up here. So since I haven't had dinner yet, we'll probably call it a night. And I thank you all for showing up. And I'll keep trying to inform you. But yeah, the copper wire seems to do adequately on Eco Goldex, down to a few parts per million. So um, we'll try and refine it a little bit more and get a little better understanding of it. But it seems to work pretty well at this point. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and post, Honey Bunny. But you guys keep it safe out there. Have a happy Merry Christmas. I'm not Merry Christmas. Have a happy New Year. And uh, we'll see you all next week and update you then. Let's see. Okay. Should be logged off if I'm not mistaken.